again to Zoya and her staff for doing this. We just came back from the Fairbanks Christmas party 2 nights ago up at Richard Ween's hangar. Some of you might recognize the name Ween. Yes, it's Ween, as in Ween Air, Alaska. His dad was Noel Ween. He's got so much memorabilia in his hangar. It was like its own history museum in the hangar. In fact, we saw the original certificate that Noel Ween had, and it was signed by, it was number 39. It was signed in 1926 by Orville Wright. So that was pretty impressive.
I'm coming. Where are we sitting?
For those of you that may not have already met Zoya, you just did. We got supremely lucky, fortunate to have her in our pool of applicants for executive director. She comes to us from Dutch Harbor, part of a 401c3 nonprofit organization out there, the Museum of the Aleutians, and she has so much experience. We're blessed to have her here to help us with our transition. And one of those transitions that we have is not only the executive director, but we've had a lot of changeover on our board of directors too. And I kind of want to address this a little bit because 5 out of 8 of our board directors have changed over in less than a year. Yes, that's a lot, but it was planned for. And that's the difference between an emergency and an inconvenience. This was planned for. We had 3 people term out in October, and we were fortunate enough to get 10 applicants. We selected 5 more people, and we have some very motivated people on the board now, and I'm very glad to see the faces that are around that have been past board members, and we're marshaling on into the future. The old joke is, what's the difference between a large pepperoni pizza and a pilot? A large pepperoni pizza can feed a family of 4. But that's not the case anymore. Things have changed. Aviation is booming now. And the statistic out there is that 42% of professional pilots in America will retire in the next 6 years. So in 6 years, 42% of the people that are senior pilots at the airlines will retire. And how does that affect general aviation in Alaska? That huge vacuum sucking sound going up to the major airlines is creating opportunities that we haven't seen for a long, long time here in Alaska. And it's creating opportunities for younger folks. And 2 pillars that we have at the Alaska Airmen's Association are our scholarships that have increased from about $16,000 to over $40,000 this coming year, potentially up to as much as $60,000 or more going out in scholarships this March. And our Next Gen program that you can read about in the transponder. The Next Gen program goes out to the villages and out to the local schools and really tries to educate young kids on the potential of having an aviation career. It's not just something that you had to have the bug or be diseased to be into aviation. It's actually a conscious choice people can make, kids can make these days, and have a viable, real solution to a career. Like I said, the scholarship program is going to be pretty impressive this year. Our scholarship committee chairman, Nick, back there, he came up with an ingenious solution to try to multiply the amount of money that the Airmen's Association puts towards scholarships. This building that you see, that's your building, it's the members' building, is completely paid off. And so now that we don't have that particular debt, we can focus more on reaching out to the students and giving them a leg up on what they need to do to realize their dream of being a mechanic, air traffic control, business, a pilot. And these scholarships are designed to do just that. Our Next Gen program run by Carol and Kevin, with Victoria helping out. I went to King's School here, technical school at Merrill Field actually not last month, in November. The program that they have is outstanding. Our goal is to have them go to the schools in the Anchorage area, one in Kenai, one in Fairbanks, and a couple out into the villages like Nome, maybe down to the city of Ketchikan, Juneau, and put on their presentation to do just what I was saying, is educate the students that aviation is a viable option for them. The other pillar that we have is our advocacy program, and Adam White is doing layman's work as far as trying to preserve what we have, and if we can't keep it the same, trend it toward an area, trend it in a way that we want it to come out to. And that's with MOAs, military operating areas, airspace, weather products in Alaska. There's a couple of them that are exciting out there. They're looking at implementing cloud tops and cloud bottoms for products that the pilots can go out to and do their research before they go take off, and they can actually create flight plans to their destination to be able to look at that stuff. If you haven't already found out, next year's airplane, I'm sorry, it's not a Super Cub. It's actually a Cessna 180, and a couple people went up to above Alaska Aviation a week ago or so, and we looked at the airplane, and that thing is going to be outstanding. Please check out our website or Above Alaska's website to see the progress being made on the airplane. And we did up the tickets. We're pretty confident we're going to sell out again this year, so don't delay. Don't plan on buying your tickets at the trade show, because the last few years we haven't had any to sell at the trade show.
We cut it off.
Yeah.
We have to.
In summary, things have been changing, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. What you're going to see, our goal is that you don't see much of a change at all. If it isn't going positive, you're not going to see the change. We've got a lot of turnover, but our goal is to make sure that things get done on time. We've got certain windows that we've got to hit for the trade show, and to that end, I'll ask for, if you haven't volunteered for the trade show in the past, there's plenty of opportunities. John Dolan here is our ramp lead. Every year we're parking airplanes inside the hangar. We're letting airplanes go after the show. We're setting up booths. We're tearing down booths. The trade show is going to be an outstanding show this year. We've got the Cessna 180 to raffle off, and it's going to be a good show. Does anybody have any questions for me? Is there anything I can answer? If you don't ask any questions, I got jokes I'm going to tell. So, yes.
Question.
Yes. Yes.
The license plate, how that's progressing.
I can tell you about that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it is very slow at this point. And the reason is, which she's alluding to, is that a few years ago she came and made a presentation at our board meeting, and it was about trying to get an aviation-themed license plate for Alaska. If you can believe it, the state with the most pilots per capita doesn't have an aviation-themed license plate.
Montana does, Idaho does, Washington does.
It's embarrassing, okay, I get it. So I actually reached out to some of the congressional delegates to try and get that done. And right now, what we have is a program that every 4 years, there is a competition where people put forth their ideas on a new license plate. What could be anything. It could be any license plate or any theme. So we were trying not to do that particular one, but to get one pushed through our legislature, off cycle, so to speak, that would be an aviation license plate. Well, unfortunately, trying to get a legislator to commit to bringing it forth in the legislature, some of them were moving up in the ranks and they had to shed some of their load, and then the budget was a big concern, and so it wasn't really high on their list.
But the prostate cancer one was.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
nice.
That license plate.
All right, so we're still pursuing it. It has not had a lot of traction at this point, but that's your update.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I forgot to thank one more person or two more persons. Carol and one more time Carol and Charlie that brought live music for us today.
Mr. Nick.
I think we should form a license plate committee, and I think I know who's really good
I agree. Anybody else?
In your spare time.
Questions? Next Gen, the trade show?
Can I say a couple words about the trip to Russia next year?
Absolutely. John Dolan has been kind of honcho in the Alaska to Russia.
For those of you